My name is Charles Berthoud. I'm a bassist. I've mostly very active on social media. I've got a decent YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and play a lot of solo stuff, but also now more recently, the Escape the Internet tours with Bernth, and the last one had Ola England, and the upcoming Australian stuff has the Omnific, which I'm very excited about, and yeah, really looking forward to it.
Great. And my name is Bernth. I'm a guitar player. I also have a YouTube channel. That's what we both have in common. It's where we kind of met virtually. And we started playing together roughly 2 years ago, just some one-off shows, then decided to do our very first tour this year. And we started out in Europe, and in a couple of weeks we will be in China, South Korea, and then finally in Australia to end the next leg of the tour.
Nice, guys. Thanks for joining us today. It's a pleasure to speak with you.
Yeah, thanks for
Of
having
course.
us.
No worries. So you will join forces for the first time in Australia for 3 select shows kicking off in Brisbane on October 31st before hitting Melbourne and Sydney over consecutive nights. Like, sounds like you got a bit to do before you come here, guys. You're pretty busy.
Yeah. Yeah, and it'll be our first ever shows in China and Korea as well, actually. So really looking forward to it. And yeah, so there'll be, I think, is it 7 shows in China and then one in Korea?
Yes.
So
So
we'll be
that's
definitely nicely
the
warmed
warmed up.
up by the time we
Yeah.
get to Australia. Yeah. So yeah, we should the show should be like really at its peak once we get to Australia.
Nice. And what about like when you visit in places like you mentioned China and Korea for the first time, you're doing Australia for the first time. So do you talk to people that you know that have been here before and sort of find out what to expect, or do you rather go in cold and just take things as they come?
We
Well,
actually, I don't know if you remember, Charles, but it was just a couple of weeks ago we met with a guitar player that's from Australia. He plays for Earth, Wind and Fire,
Oh yeah.
and he had a couple of recommendations, and I think he will actually send us some stuff. He was mostly in Sydney, active in Sydney, I think. So maybe we can check some of that out. But do you have anything? Did you hear anything from China and South Korea? Any recommendations?
What? I've never been anywhere. I don't even know where they are. I know they're at the top of Australia.
yeah, I mean, well, our friend Mike Dawes did a tour in China, and so he had some tips for us. I also met a bassist who did a tour in China, and he had some interesting stories. Um, Apparently, it's not a good idea to ask the audience to clap along, is what I've
Okay.
heard. Apparently, it's like kind of not allowed or something.
Really?
I
That's handy
don't
to
know.
know
We'll
though, because
see.
when you're up there playing and they're not clapping, at least you're not going to take offense. So it's
Well,
handy.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
We will do
Uh,
a crowd interaction in Australia instead. We already heard that crowds are really great here,
We're
so we
very
can't
loud.
wait for
It's
that.
very loud, so be prepared for some boisterousness.
all
Nice,
right. That's what we
perfect.
want. We like
Uh,
that.
so for those who might not be too familiar with the tour, it's called the Bernth and Charles Escape the Internet Tour. So I don't know why, but every time I say that or I read that, my mind goes to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Nice.
Title roles.
Yeah. Well, it won't be quite like that, but it will be a little different from the average show, I think. Since we're both YouTubers, we'll be taking a lot of what we do online to the stage.
Okay.
So it won't just be playing songs back to back. There'll be quite a lot of banter in between and some challenges. Um, the big debate every time we play a show is always which instrument is better, bass or guitar.
Who
Um,
usually wins?
I mean, bass always wins, but
I think guitar. Uh,
uh, yeah. So there's going to be it's what we do on YouTube, but brought to the stage and enhanced, taken up a level. So it's not just music, but there is also a lot of music involved.
Yeah, nice. Now, you're both excellent at your craft, like you're a bass player, you're a guitar player, but aside from that, if people haven't heard too much about you, don't know much about it, give us a bit of background on both of you and where you come from and how you got to this stage.
So on my end, I actually started out as a session and live musician in Austria. That's where I'm from originally, before I moved to Los Angeles. And I actually come from the live and from the touring world and started my YouTube channel much later. And it depends on where people know me from. Either they know me from the YouTube channel or from some of the metal bands that I played with, or from the pop act that I played in Austria. We made a couple of platinum records together, and recently, just a couple of weeks ago, played a stadium of 50,000 people, which was great. But this band is only famous in Austria. So it really depends. Um, some people know me from that, others from YouTube, others from the metal stuff. But I think the YouTube channel is the biggest thing by now. And over there, I play guitar most of the time. I do some kind of crazy experiments here and there. I filled a couple of guitars with water to see what that sounds like, drilled some holes into others. And those videos often went viral because the thumbnail looks quite interesting if you see like a drill going inside an acoustic guitar. And that led to people actually checking out the music I played with those instruments. And that finally led to people wanting to see those videos or songs performed live. And that's also how we met, I guess, with how I met with Charles online on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Bernth did one of his crazy ideas was to pitch shift his guitar down into like a bass register, which then led a lot of people to leave comments saying you should do something with Charles Berthoud. And then he uploaded a video that said, "My problem with Charles Berthoud." And I was wondering, that was an interesting way to start the day. It was kind of the first thing I saw in the morning was just someone has a problem with me. And I was wondering what I'd done. And I clicked on the video and saw that Bernth was actually very politely challenging me to a battle. He kind of complimented me quite a lot, but then also challenged me to a battle, which was kind of funny. So we did the battle, and that's kind of where everything started. We did collabs after that, and then finally actually met in person maybe 2 years later and started playing shows together. And that's how all of this kind of came to be.
Oh, so, now tell me, Bird, when you put that challenge up and you said, "Well, I don't," when you did that, how much thought went into that? Like, did you think it through and think what could possibly happen when you got to that and have all your bases?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought a lot about that because it's kind of a bit of a ballsy thing to do, because if there's no response to a video like this, it's kind of weird. Like if you put out something like that and challenge someone, because I didn't. Some people think stuff like this is very staged and you already reached out and you already planned the video. It's maybe already recorded, and then you do the big drama video where you actually challenge the other YouTuber or musician. But that was really just the only thing that I did, because I thought maybe that's an interesting way of trying it. Because if you send someone like Charles a DM, he has a lot of followers on Instagram. He probably won't see it if he doesn't follow me. If I send him an email, he might not see it. So I thought that's my one shot to kind of make a almost controversial looking drama thumbnail, and to hopefully get him to click on it. And it actually worked. It took a while. It wasn't on the same day. It took, I don't know, almost a week or at least 4 or 5 days. So I kind of gave up hope already. But it was cool to see, because I did put some thought into it, because I wanted it to look kind of dramatic, but on the same side, I'm not really a fan of YouTube drama stuff. So I also wanted it to be very friendly, because I was a big fan of what Charles was doing. So it looks like I did it correctly. I think it could have also gone wrong. Like if the video also had a sarcastic undertone, and if it would have been unfriendly, I don't think Charles would have been happy to work with me, for example. So I didn't want to mess it up.
Tell us your honest, when you first saw that, Charles, when you wake up and first saw it, like, was your first thought like, who the hell does this guy think he is? Or did you know it was picking up?
Well, when I saw the title and thumbnail, I thought, I thought I'd done something wrong. I didn't, like, I couldn't remember doing anything wrong, but I thought like maybe I'd accidentally copied one of his songs or something, you know. But then pretty quickly when I opened the video, I realized it was just, yeah, some good old-fashioned pretend drama, which was nice.
That's good on you, mate. That's that, like you say, that's a very ballsy thing to do, bro. But good on you for having a crack. That's awesome.
Yeah, I never did that again. It was the first and only time.
It probably
So
wouldn't work as well the next time.
yeah, probably people already figured out that I'm kind of a nice person. I guess I don't really start fights like that.
Now, it's just pretty obvious that you're both excellent at what you do individually, but coming together and getting your music to blend in well together, was that difficult at first?
No, it's actually very easy, which is actually surprising. Normally, when I try to collab with someone like Bernth, who's really good at their instrument, um, it's quite common that like they kind of want to be the focus all the time. Um, and so that makes it really hard for me to really put across anything. Um, Especially since guitar is just in the register that's it draws your ear more. It sounds like the lead instrument more of the time, especially if it's playing really busy stuff all the time.
Yeah.
So playing, yeah, when Bernth and I first played together, it clicked almost immediately, partly because we we'd arranged the songs in a way that each of us get a lot of space.
Okay, yeah.
So Bernth doesn't just play the lead all the time, even if I'm playing a lead part. He plays an accompanying part, which not all really good guitarists have that ability as
They
well.
do, they just won't do it.
Yeah, exactly. But also just because Bernth practices so much, he already knew all the parts perfectly. So the first time we like played together in person, it it sounded good almost immediately.
Yeah, I feel like one of my favorite things that we do is we have some songs that we worked on together, where Charles usually sends me the main idea, like a really cool tapping bass line most of the time that I can arrange something around. So we have that where it's a clear collaborational effort, but we also play each other's songs live, where Charles is adding some bass to my songs and I'm adding some guitar parts to his songs. And the cool thing is, if you don't know, I think if you're in the audience and you don't know which songs are written by which of us and what songs are collaboration songs, you don't really hear a big difference, which is kind of cool, I think, because that was my fear at the start with my songs, because they are quite busy here and there, and I didn't really write them to be like full band pieces. But Charles just finds really great ways of either harmonizing or adding something completely new that I would have never thought of, because my bass parts are not that great. I think like a guitar player, so I always put a lot of thought and effort into the guitar stuff and try to make it perfect. And then I don't have enough brain space left anymore at the end of the session, and I just program a little bit of bass. So I didn't even see the potential with a lot of these songs. And for these tours, we also have amazing drummers all the time, which is also something that mostly when we make music together, we program the drums. So I see more and more how great it is to have experts at their instrument contribute to the arrangements, so that everyone can really focus on what we do best. And I'm not the best bass player for sure. So it sounds really cool and much better now.
Yeah, nice. Now, I'll have to ask you this question individually, guys, but most musicians, they're happy just to learn the guitar or just to learn the bass, and get by doing it. But you guys have gone 100 steps further. Like, you've excelled at what you do. Like, what drove you to want to just be better than just a player, to want to be something more?
For me, it's mostly it mostly started out just that the bassists who interested me the most were the ones doing all the crazy stuff. So it started out with like people like Cliff Burton and Flea. So they both, especially Cliff, they play in a way that's not conventional, and it's pretty virtuosic. They're doing crazy acrobatic stuff on the bass. And that's just always interested me from an early age. One of the first like amazing musical experiences I had was watching the solo in One by Metallica, the tapping solo, which at the time I thought was like impossible. It just looked so fast and sounded so cool. Um, and so I've always wanted to play that kind of stuff, like more, more just virtuosic, acrobatic. And I really enjoy the process of just pushing the limits more and more and more. And I probably will never stop unless I like get an injury or something, which I really hope I don't. Um, but I think it's always more fun for me if it feels like there's always more to learn. I think if I ever start getting bored, if there's ever like a period where I feel burned out or bored, it's usually just because I can't I don't see the path forward and I don't know what it is I want to get better at. And so I'm always happiest when I'm like trying to figure out how to improve and I'm feeling myself improving.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
For me, it's very similar because it's what a lot of people. I remember my father, for example, asking me why I'm going to the conservatory to study guitar for 4.5 years because I've already been playing for 10 years. And he was like, why? It's like you already know how to play guitar. So this is something that a lot of people don't really see. The better you get and the harder you work, the more you actually see. I guess it's the same old saying, the more you know, the kind of less you actually know because you just hear so many different things in your own playing and you listen to music in a completely different way. The better you get at your instrument and you always hear things that are interesting and that you maybe can't do. For example, when I listen to a fusion record, I'm not a fusion guitar player. I always pick up some stuff and I hear something that's very interesting to me that I then want to learn for my own stuff. So there's not really a finish line at all. And there's always something left to learn. And especially if you go and play live on stage, if you do a 1.5 hour or 3 hour set, even, you will never walk off stage thinking, I played every single note perfectly. This was the perfect show. It could not have been any better. There will always be something that you want to improve. It's just that the definition changes over time. So after like your first shows, you might have played a part in the completely wrong key or you forgot a riff and it was really embarrassing. And that might be a major mistake. And at this point where we are at right now, mistake is something a bit different where you might play a part and it's rushing or dragging a little bit, or you're not happy with the dynamics, or you played something that's a bit improvised and you after that feel like I could have come up with something a little bit better. So not necessarily stuff where the audience can notice a huge mistake or something, but there's always something you feel like you could have done better. And I think that's not really bad. Some people see that as a bad thing. I actually think that's cool because it would be sad to kind of reach finish point or the goal with your instrument and then you're done.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool that it's a lifelong journey and that you're never fully satisfied. I think it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, well said, mate. Now, I'll leave you with one last thing, guys. Like, what's each of your signature moves on your guitar and bass, and will we be seeing it in Australia?
I would say the thing people usually associate me with on bass is tapping. And there's definitely going to be a lot of that in the show in Australia. Yeah, but there's also I'm gonna be outside of my comfort zone sometimes too, because Bernth sometimes forces me to play with a pick just so that he can then show how much better he is at playing with a pick. So there might be there might be a point where I have to play with a pick as well.
Yeah, for me it's mostly different picking techniques. Those are a lot of those kind of videos went viral on my channels because I really like to dissect picking techniques and play around with a lot of different techniques and even make up some of my own. Kind of, there's a thing called modular picking that I like to do, that I'm not saying I completely invented or I'm the first guy to think about it. It's just that I came up with this kind of approach as a kid, and I didn't really see it anywhere else, where it's essentially a combination of sweep picking and economy picking and just different picking approaches. And sometimes I talk about that a little bit on stage as well, because I always assume that this is as interesting for other people as it is for me. So it's mostly about different interesting picking techniques with me, like alternate picking, sweep picking, economy picking, but modular picking stuff, hybrid picking, and all of that. So there will be some of that for sure.
Nice. Now, I just told a little white lie before. I've got one more question for you guys. Like, I just want to reiterate something that you said before, because I know there's a lot of people out there that think of bass and guitar and just think it's going to drag on a little bit and it could be too much in a concert just having those instruments. But yours is an all-encompassing show, isn't it? It's like not just play for 2.5 hours and nothing else goes on, is it? It's actually more of an entertainment spectacle.
Yeah, definitely. So we've got, of course, we have a full lighting show, including a LED wall with which has cool visuals, but also we play videos on there sometimes, which like kind of sync up with the song we're about to play. But then between songs, there's a lot of banter and kind of almost stand-up comedy. And also just a lot of the kind of on both our channels, we do all these like crazy challenges, where we'll like play. I have one where I took 3 of the strings off my bass, so I only have 1 string, and I play a bass solo with 1 string. And it's the same, Bernth does these challenges too. And so since people know us from YouTube mostly, we have these sorts of challenges, but live, which really puts the pressure up quite a lot, because you've actually got to try and pull this stuff off live. So there's challenges, there's like the comedy elements, there's we use the LED wall to kind of like show the stories of our channels and how we ended up meeting and stuff like that. So it's a pretty immersive experience that is not just about the music. And also keep in mind that we've got the Omnific opening for us too, which is going to be very cool. And there will be a point where I think all of us will be playing together, me, Bernth, and the Omnific. So there'll be 3 basses, 1 guitar, and 1 drums, which is, I think, the appropriate setup for the ultimate band.
You're a bit outnumbered there, Bert. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I've never heard 3 bass players at the same time, so I'm a bit scared of for the audience, not for me, because I'm playing with in-ear monitoring and I only have myself in my in-ears, so I will be fine.
All right, fantastic, guys. Well, thanks very much for your time. It's been a pleasure. Bert and Charles Escape the Internet is in Australia for 3 dates, starting in Brisbane on October 31st. I believe there's still tickets available, but if you want them, you better get in quickly. And I'll see you at the Brisbane show, guys. You won me.
Thanks for coming. Thank you.